Is just east of I-85. That's the area we're talking about with this potential tornado. And again, it's radar indicated. You look at this, it doesn't look all that impressive on the radar, but what we're seeing here is right here. This is the hook echo coming down just like that. The storm itself, the parent storm is here, but the circulation is right there, right around the Reimer area. So that would be where the circulation would be in that storm. So I widened it out. This line does extend down into northern Mecklenburg, but we don't see the same type of rotation there. So it's 8:55 right now. The warning is up till 8:15, but because of the nature of this storm, I wouldn't be shocked to see them potentially cancel this early if we don't see the rotation begin to tighten up at all. But again, as you see right there, there's the what we call the hook echo, kind of right there. So this is actually moving, it looks like to me, more up towards the Rowan County line. There's Concord, Kannapolis, back towards the lake. Okay, at Salisbury up here. You're in the clear right now, Salisbury. This is really going to be kind of south of Rockwell. So think about this traveling basically on the county line. So if you know anybody in the path of this storm, if you're watching on air, online, maybe shoot them a text and just say, hey, maybe get out of the path of this storm if you can, or seek shelter until it passes. I'm not real confident we've got something on the ground right now just based on the radar signature, but it was enough of a signature that the tornado warning was issued earlier. I was watching this storm for a while and it had some signs of rotation in it, but there wasn't really a lot of lightning or anything that would make me prompt that there would be a possible warning. And then in just the last couple minutes, the Weather Service office out of Greenville, Spartanburg issued the warning. So I'm going to update the storm track real quickly here. And again, with these tracks, give yourself plus or minus about 5-10 minutes because the storm sometimes goes through a fluctuation where it speeds up or slows down. That'll kind of give you a rough idea on the timing there. So Reimer, it's pretty much right on top of you right now. You should already be on your shelter location. The next place we're looking at is the Rockwell, south side of Rockwell to be in particular, and then Gold Hill around 8:08. And then Richfield around 8:14. So those are the areas we're looking at. And now we're putting a pretty big track on it just to give you an idea on where it's heading off to the east at around 50 miles per hour. At least that's what the Weather Service has to track at. I'd say it's probably moving just a tad slower than that. And in my opinion, probably closer to 40 or 45 based on what we've seen earlier. Now remember those safety tips. Where are you going to go in your house? If you are in a single-story home, the bottom floor is the best place. If you have a two-story building, get to the first floor. If you have a basement, that's great, but that room in green is where you want to be. That's an interior room with as many walls between you and the outside as possible. The whole point in these warnings, these warning safety tips, is to get you away from the flying debris that these storms pick up and throw around. So those walls are basically like force fields. They act like barriers, basically ways to block that flying debris. So this is the overall view, just to give you that line. This is the cold front moving through the area right now, and we've had a lot of severe weather up in western part of Virginia into the Triad area. This is the first storm we've seen kind of go severe in our area, and it is a tornado warning for parts of Rowan and really northeast Cabarrus County. And just a heads up, northern Stanley County. This is going to pass right there near New London in the northern part of Stanley County. You're technically not in the warning yet, but the storm is tracking in your direction. That county is actually the jurisdiction of the Raleigh National Weather Service office, so there's a pretty good chance that they will be adding that here shortly, depending on what they decide to do with this warning. But there it is. I'm going to show you the close-up view again. We'll stop the loop here real quick, and the circulation is right here, right there around Reimer. So it's just south of Old Beatty Ford Road, Oregon Church Road, and just west of Mount Pleasant Road North. So that's where the circulation is near Reimer. And again, pushing off to the east at around 45 miles per hour. So Rockwell, I want you to stay in your shelter location, especially the south side of town, but it looks like the circulation is going to pass just to your south on the radar. It's going to be more south of Old Beatty Ford Road. So I would say it's going to be along or south of Old Beatty Ford Road. So if you live north of there, you're going to be outside of the circulation. But as it pushes east, it's going to be getting very close to Gold Hill and Meisenheimer and then New London. So just people in the New London area, this is going to be just north of you as it pushes off to the east at around 25 miles per hour. So again, the rotation was indicated on Doppler radar. This has not been confirmed, and just based on the radar signature, it is not a very strong signature. This is more based on how the storm looks on the radar, and the reason sometimes you hear this term hook echo, it's got this appendage on it right there, and where the rotation is right there, kind of where the fish hook barb would be. If you look at a fish hook, it's got that shape where the barb of the hook is where we would possibly see that rotation. So let me quickly look at the velocity data again, and it's real messy there. There's not a whole lot that indicates strong rotation. Well, if we were to see stronger rotation, as I go over to the map here, I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. If we were to see stronger rotation, we've got all these reds and yellows going away from the radar. For stronger rotation, we would want to see some of these, at least greens or even blue, going back this direction towards the radar, which is behind me over towards Mountain Island Lake. And right now, this is all really what we call unidirectional. All the wind is blowing in this general direction. So that's why, just looking at the radar, this is not a really strong signature based on the Doppler radar. So while there technically is a tornado warning here, I'll be honest with you, just looking at the rotation on the radar, it does look like it is actually not that strong. So the warning is going to be continuing here till 8:15. The speed is slowed down a little bit. So this is what I was watching earlier, thinking we were going to see the speed slow down a little bit. It is now moving at 35 miles per hour. So let me do an updated track on the circulation. Now the hook looks a little more impressive here. It's about to cross Mount Pleasant Road North. So let me update this track here. We're going to drop the speed down to 35 miles per hour. And I'm going to track the actual rotation. So moving off in this general direction. And so that's going to get your updated. So that's updated on the new speed that we have. That means it's going to be in Gold Hill at around 8:12, Meisenheimer around 8:16, Richfield around 8:19, and then New London at 8:23 based on its current speed. The reason I said that the hook looks a little more impressive now, if we go in closer here, I'll actually grab the telestrator here. You can actually see right in here, there's a little hook right there. And that is the area we're going to be watching if there is rotation in that storm. So it's got that look on the reflectivity, but the velocity data, which is the Doppler radar showing us the wind directions, we don't really see anything indication on the velocity data showing. And I'm looking at some of our storm reports coming in. So far, no calls of any damage in the Kannapolis area, nothing from Concord just yet. Haven't heard anything up there. So that's a good sign. If there was something on the ground, we'd either have confirmation from spotters or from emergency management in both of those counties, Rowan and Cabarrus County. Or one of the things that Doppler radar allows us to do is actually see debris being lofted on the radar. And I will quickly look at our velocity data here, or that debris signature, to see if we see anything on the radar. And so far, I don't see anything that would indicate that. So what you're looking at here is I'm looking at that actual product. I'm gonna look at the Raleigh office to get a little better idea. And again, I don't see anything that really jumps off the charts here, but maybe a little bit there. So that's something to keep an eye on. It certainly looks like the possibility that there is just some weak rotation in there. It doesn't look overwhelming, but the radar was indicating a brief spin up there, and if anything, it looks like it's weakened a little bit in the last couple of frames. So if you're just tuning in, I know it's top of the hour, a couple minutes ago, we have a tornado warning currently in effect till 8:15. It's currently 8:04 p.m., and this is for the southeastern part of Rowan County and the northeast corner now of Cabarrus County. And for folks in the northern section of Stanley County, we want you to take this as a tornado warning as well. Salisbury, you're not in the warning, and really to kind of highlight the corridor that we're more concerned about, I'll do more of a squall. This is more of the area we're watching. I'll track the rotation basically like that. So we're really concerned about the Gold Hill area and then Meisenheimer. So those are the two areas where if there is a tornado or the potential rotation of that storm, that's where we're talking about, in that location. You may notice the winds pick up briefly here, and again, a lot of this could be just off the surface and not down at the ground. Sometimes the radar beam, remember, goes in a straight line. As it gets farther away from the radar, the Earth curves, so it drops away, and the beam starts looking higher and higher in the sky. Let's look at the Doppler velocity. So there's a little hint of rotation right here, just east of Reimer. It's not crazy, but it's a little stronger than before. And the reason I say that is we've got a little bit stronger what we call outflow. The outbounds are going this direction, and the darker reds aren't quite as strong, but they're coming there a little bit. So there is a little bit more indication of some stronger winds in there at least. Looking at the velocity data, let me quickly query that. So we've got some 36-mile-an-hour winds outbound, and then back here, we've got some lower winds at 16. So there is a little bit of rotation there. Again, that's not very strong. That's a pretty weak signature overall, but the fact that it's co-located with this hook echo or this appendage, it kind of looks like a kidney bean shaped storm, is one of the indications that pretty much gave the National Weather Service the idea to go ahead and issue this warning. So they're going to keep this warning up, it looks like, until 8:15. We're only about 9 minutes away from that happening right now. Based on the signature, I wouldn't be surprised to see it canceled early, but with 9 minutes left in the warning, there's more likely a chance that this is just going to be allowed to expire at around 8:15. But again, we're going to keep an eye on this cell in the southeast corner of Rowan County. So if you live in southeast Rowan County or know somebody that lives in this area, you're going to want to go ahead and tell them, just keep an eye on this storm. Let's just wait till the storm passes maybe before we go outside or go on run some errands, because that little appendage right there east of Reimer now, well south of Rockwell, there's the next radar sweep. So you can see that hook. I mean, that's what kind of triggered the warning, that little appendage right there. Again, that's an indication when we see that on the reflectivity, even though it's not showing up on our other product, our velocity data, which is the wind data, that's indication because the rain's being pulled and wrapped around like that. And the only way that happens is if there's some rotation within the storm, you get that kind of signature. So this is basically paralleling the northern part of the Cabarrus County line and the southern Rowan County line there. So basically right on the county line, and folks that live on the county line between Cabarrus and Rowan, and eventually this is northern Stanley County right here. So northern Stanley County, that's why we want to go ahead and just maybe keep an eye on this storm, because it's likely going to pass somewhere in here just outside of our warning polygon. These two counties, the warnings are issued from Greer, South Carolina. This county gets warnings from the Raleigh office. So that's why you're not seeing the warning kind of like this direction. The next warning's over would be coming out of the Raleigh office. So this warning is set to expire here in a couple more minutes. We're going to stay with it just until it expires. Might as well ride it out here till the very end. But it does look like this storm is weakening a little bit right now, just based on what we're seeing. Let me go back to the velocity data real quickly here. There's some wind in there, but it's nothing that looks like a strong rotation. So, you're trying to use the remote sensing here with the radar to kind of see what's going on, and the radar is not telling us the full story here. It's giving us half the story, that there's some type of rotation going on, but it may not be all the way down at the surface. So it might be just something that's just off the surface. And again, I'm going through some different products. So the radar you're looking at right now, and you'll see the beam comes out of the Mountain Island Lake area. That's the closest radar. It's an FAA radar. It's a little weaker radar, but it does detect rotation a little better. We don't have a full National Weather Service radar close enough to give the low-level scan. So this is the lowest level we can scan, and there's a little bit, let me grab the cursor here. There's a little bit of wind right there. It looks like just west of Meisenheimer and east of Reimer, kind of south of Old Beatty Ford Road and north of 49. So it's well north of 49 right now, but as we get closer to the Stanley County line and the Rowan County line, you're going to see Highway 52 and 49 kind of meet up. So it's probably heading right towards that intersection. Let me loop this a couple times and you'll get an idea of the general movement. It's moving pretty quickly off to the east, about 35 miles an hour. The initial wind speed we had earlier was 50 miles per hour, but that looked way too fast based on the wind speeds or the direction that was seen. So let's do a quick track on it again. The hook is not as apparent as it was before. That's at 35 miles an hour, excuse me. Let me make sure I got that speed correct. 35 miles an hour, it looks like the current speed. We'll do that track again. That was not a very good track. There it is at 30 miles an hour. So Gold Hill right at 8:15, which is in 5 minutes, which is, you know, basically that first line of red, and then Meisenheimer, 8:20, Richfield and New London. If it holds together, I do not see them continuing this warning right now based on the signature, and they just canceled the warning. So it looks like the warning was canceled about 5 minutes early. So it's still on our screen, but I can see it's been cleared from the National Weather Service. So we're gonna head back to programming. I'll be keeping an eye on this throughout the evening, but that tornado warning is just canceled at 8:10 p.m. From the National Weather Service. So they're gonna just let it go. No plans for a new warning unless the structure comes back to life here. But it looks like they're gonna expire this right at 8:10 this evening. So now we're at 8:11. So we'll keep an eye on this. Stay weather aware this evening. If we do get any more warnings, we'll try to limit our cut-ins to when we only have some tornado warnings in our area that look like they're producing some damage here. This one was one that we had to get on the air. And we'll also keep you up to date online on WCNC.com and our app. If you don't have our app, it's a good time to go grab that right now. But for now, we're going to return to our programming already in progress.